Welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John. Thank you very much for being here, for hitting the thumbs up, for hitting subscribe. And also, folks, thank you for all of the prayers and all of the well wishes over the past half week or so. So the final 100 days before the election are upon us. As a matter of fact, I don't even think there are 100 days left. I think it's around 98, maybe 97, but it's easier to go with the last 100 days, right? That's going to work better on YouTube. The final 100 days. And this brings me to a quote that I hear all of the time, and I see all of the time in the comments section. Elections have consequences. And this is what I want to talk about this morning because I know we hear this every 4 years, right? Well, this is the biggest election in American history. But I really do think this particular election is going to be the most important election in the history of the United States. And it's going to come with all kinds of consequences. Out of Trump's own mouth, Donald Trump has actually said, if Kamala Harris wins, welcome to World War III. There are all kinds of consequences. You can get into the inflation. You can get into the funding of other countries. You can get into people's 401k and retirement having been destroyed. You can get into rights like the Second Amendment being stripped down. Even now, Joe Biden is trying to pack the court just in case, as a fail-safe in case Donald Trump would get back into the White House. But what I want to do this morning is I want to talk about what I feel is the biggest consequence of this election. And again, you can pick 100 different things. This is just the one that I'm going with this morning, and that's illegal immigration. Notice I didn't say undocumented immigration or undocumented immigrants. I'm talking about illegal immigration. People who are inside of the United States of America who are not supposed to be inside of the United States of America, and they know full well that they should not be inside of the United States of America. They've broken and entering. If the United States was your home and these people were in your home, that they're illegally. They've broken and entering. This is just the way I look at it. This is the way actually the law looks at it. But the law often is not enforced, and now we have this therapeutic, throughout society, we have this therapeutic way of looking at it and dressing the words up, and, oh, you should be nice to these people, you should be nice to these people. Listen, it's going to come down to this election. Let me be perfectly clear on this. Should Kamala Harris, or if they decide at the convention Kamala Harris is not the candidate and they're going to run somebody else on the left, they're all going to feel the same way about this. I'm saying Kamala Harris because she's the presumptive nominee at this point in time. But again, it could switch out to someone else. Could become Hillary Clinton. Could become Gavin Newsom, blah, blah, blah. You get what I'm saying. Kamala Harris wins, we're going to see a pathway to citizenship for all of the people who are not supposed to be here. And that's a fact. We're talking tens of millions of people who've entered this country illegally. They knew exactly what they were doing. I'm sorry, you do not hide inside of the bed of a truck and cover yourself up with something else and think that that's normal. You understand you are breaking the law. You understand tearing fences down and going through little holes. You know what you're doing when you enter this country illegally, right? But Kamala is going to offer a pathway to citizenship, number one. Number two, Kamala Harris and crew, they will allow the floodgates to remain open. The flood of illegals will continue into the United States until you are a minority in your own country. And I know that sounds drastic, folks. I know some people think that I'm just drumming up scare tactics, but look at France right now. Look at Germany right now. France is an Islamic country, for anybody who doesn't know that. Their national identity is gone. It's been gone. Germany's national identity is on the way out. These are becoming Islamic countries. France is already there, I would argue. That's what you can look forward to under Kamala Harris, or a Kamala Harris ticket, regime, whatever. Again, you can get into Hillary Clinton, you can get into Michelle Obama, you can get into Gavin Newsom, doesn't matter. They're all going to play that same card. They're going to allow it to continue because these people are for open borders. They make no mistake about that. I mean, they don't try and hide from that. On the flip side of the coin, when you're looking at Donald Trump has not hidden from the fact that he plans mass deportations if he gets back into the White House. I don't know that we have the resources to deport everyone that's here. Again, tens of millions of people. That takes a lot of resources. That takes an entire country working together in unison. Yes, it can be done, but when's the last time you saw Americans come together and work together for anything? Right? But I do think he would get a lot of these people. It would be a situation where he's picking and choosing. You have any sort of criminal record, you're out of here. This sort of thing. But unfortunately, in him doing this, there's going to be pushback. And I believe there would be violent pushback from what I like to call the mob. People that totally disagree with deportations. Things would get spicy, so to speak, and the American powder keg would then explode. Major trouble here in the United States. Either way, Kamala Harris wins, major trouble here in the United States because you are going to become an Islamic country. It's a matter of time. Kamala Harris loses, Donald Trump wins, you're going to see the beginnings of societal collapse, in my opinion. Knowing that these are the two outcomes and looking toward November, here's my question for you this morning, Prepper Nation. How are you spending the last 100 days? Doesn't mean it's your last 100 days here on Earth, but I think it's the last 100 days of a somewhat civilized United States of America. Yes, things are crazy, especially in your cities. Things are not safe. There are a lot of things happening, but this, compared to what is to come, these are the good times. Believe it or not. We still have fabric of civility. We still have society, a structured society. I'm not sure that it's going to be that case after the election. They can talk about democracy all they want to. Democracy and blah, 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 that's not a concern of mine. It is, what is our society going to look like after November? Are we going to see cities on fire? Are we going to have another summer of love, but winter? Or are we just beat at this point and we're just going to open the border wide open? Because 4 years under a Kamala Harris regime with open borders, and again, I promise you're going to be a minority in your own country. You never win in another election. Conservatives, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. How are you spending your last 100 days as a prepper? I've often brought up, because I like the show and I especially like the graphic novel series, The Walking Dead. Rick wakes up in a coma, and his buddy Shane's out here, and I don't want to spoil too much, but, there's a little encampment. They've made an encampment trying to survive the zombie apocalypse. What if they had 100 days notice, advance notice? What if they knew 100 days prior to the zombie apocalypse? How would they have prepared for that? And I'm on here, I'm not saying we're going to have a zombie apocalypse, But I'm saying it could just be as dangerous as a zombie apocalypse here in the United States of America. And you have 100 days. I'm telling you, I'm giving you it. Well, 97, 98 days, whatever it is. I'm giving you advance notice. As a prepper, you better take advantage. Are you shoring up your preps? Is that how you're spending your last 100 days? Shopping trips and things like this. Are you still trying to wake family up or extended family? Are you working on home defense? Kind of shoring up doors and windows or property lines and things like this. Maybe you're working on bug out plans. The message this morning is there needs to be a sense of urgency right now. 100 days seems like a long time, but it's really not. A lot of people have asked in the past, when's it going to hit? When's the balloon going up? When is SHTF finally getting here? And I'm telling you, in about 100 days, give or take. This does not end well. I know this seems far-fetched, but just hear me out for a second. What if we end up with 2 presidents? I'm serious. What if we end up with an election that is so close and so heavily disputed that neither candidate says, you know what, you win. There's no peaceful transfer of power, so to speak. Both candidates, it happens, folks, declare themselves victors. Realize what kind of mess that would be? What about just mass confusion on election results? Certain states saying, this candidate got 47 million votes. And then you look at, the census for that state, and there's only 30 million people that live there. I'm just spitballing numbers, but I'm saying mass confusion where there's obviously stuff that went down. Is it going to be allowed to happen again? Because again, if it is, this is the last election for conservatives. It seems like a lot of chaos, and it seems like I'm pulling stuff out of thin air, but it's happening right now, again, in Venezuela. Venezuela used to be a highly structured, very wealthy country, and things were great. And then they had an election. They ended up with 2 presidents, civil war, things collapsed. Now they have had another election. It's highly contested, and it looks like some shady things have went on there as well. So, Venezuela is falling apart. It's not a stretch to say the United States is going to follow suit, my opinion, because people have lost faith in government. You should never trust the government to fully take care of you. But when I say this, I mean the institutions of the government. We used to live in a world where the FDA said something was something was safe, and you were okay taking it. Or the CDC would step in and say, yeah, this booster is okay to take, and people would line up and take it. Or the election process would be the election process, and people trusted it. Nobody trusts anything anymore here in the United States. They don't trust the CIA. They don't trust the FBI. They don't trust the CDC. They don't trust anything. The election process in general. And when people lose faith in those government institutions, no outcome in November will just be accepted. We're not going to have an outcome in November where Americans say, well, we lost that one. We'll get them in 4 years. You understand? Nobody's going to believe the election results at this point. And without faith in government and government institutions, chaos becomes the norm. And that's what I'm worried about. Chaos is going to become the norm in about 100 days, folks. That's all you have left. And I truly do hope you're taking advantage of these last 100 days of civil United States of America.